Fairness is a myth designed to keep you weak. From the time you were a boy, you are told to share, to play nice, to treat others as you want to be treated. And yet look around. The men who rise to the top are not the ones who played fair. They are the ones who understood the game for what it really is: brutal, cutthroat, and governed by power, not fairness. If you keep playing fair, you'll keep losing to those who never did. That's the harsh truth nobody wants to admit. The system doesn't reward your honesty, your generosity, or your patience. It rewards those who know how to bend the rules, exploit weakness, and move without hesitation when the opportunity strikes. This is where Niccolò Machiavelli comes in, the man both feared and admired, the name whispered with contempt by the weak and studied with fascination by the powerful. To some, he was a monster. To others, he was the only one brave enough to strip away illusions and show us the world as it truly works. In this video, we're going to dive into Machiavelli's darkest power lessons, the ones polite society hopes you never learn. These truths will separate you from the herd, but they come at a price. Once you see them, you can never go back to playing fair again. So let's begin by tearing down the first illusion, the myth of fairness. From the very beginning, men are programmed with a simple script: be fair, be nice, be equal. Parents repeat it. Teachers reinforce it. Culture rewards it with hollow praise. You're told that if you play by the rules, if you treat everyone with kindness, if you sacrifice yourself for others' life, will somehow balance the scales in your favor. But reality doesn't work that way. Life isn't a children's game with referees making sure everyone gets a turn. Life is a battlefield. And battlefields don't care about fairness. They only care about who survives. Think about history. The nations that conquered the world weren't the ones who politely waited their turn. Rome didn't dominate by asking permission. It crushed, assimilated, and ruled. Empires were not built on fairness. They were built on strength, cunning, and ruthlessness. Consider business. How many men have followed every rule, given their loyalty to a company, only to be discarded overnight in the name of profit? Fairness doesn't save you when the boardroom decides your job is expendable. Meanwhile, the men who rise are not the fairest, but the most strategic, the ones who see opportunities and seize them before anyone else can. And in relationships, men are told to be endlessly patient, endlessly giving, endlessly fair. Yet women don't fall in love with fairness. They fall for strength, decisiveness, and power. The nice guy who treats her with fairness becomes invisible, while the man who bends the rules, who takes what he wants unapologetically, commands her attention. The comforting lie of fairness exists for one reason: to keep you tame. It makes you predictable, controllable, safe. But safe men are never powerful, and powerless men are forgotten. Here's the bitter truth: fairness is not a law of nature, it's a leash. And while you're busy playing fair, ruthless men are rewriting the rules. To understand power, you must first abandon the illusion that it plays by moral rules. Machiavelli, writing in the 16th century, cut through centuries of wishful thinking with a single revelation: power is not moral, it is practical. Leaders who clung to virtue, who tried to rule with fairness alone, were destroyed by those willing to be ruthless. In The Prince, Machiavelli warned that a ruler who is always good will inevitably be ruined in a world where most men are not. Virtue without strength becomes a liability. Mercy without strategy invites betrayal. A man who refuses to act ruthlessly when necessary does not rise above the game. He becomes its first casualty. Look at the world today, and you'll see the same pattern. In corporate arenas, the man who trusts too much, who assumes loyalty from colleagues, is blindsided by those quietly positioning themselves to replace him. In politics, those who cling to fairness are devoured by adversaries who understand that appearances matter more than truth. And in social life, men who act only from good intentions are often manipulated by those who exploit their predictable decency. The powerful know this. They know that real influence is not about fairness, but about leverage. They understand Machiavelli's timeless lesson: it is often safer to be feared than to be loved, because fear endures where love fades. But this knowledge is not openly taught. It is whispered in private circles, passed down through elite institutions, concealed from the masses who are told to just be good. This is the dangerous knowledge, the ruthless reality that polite society hides from you. Because if too many men understood it, they would stop playing fair. They would stop being pawns. And that brings us to Machiavelli's darkest truths, the forbidden principles that reveal why ruthlessness wins when fairness fails. If the myth of fairness blinds men, Machiavelli's darkest truths tear the blindfold off and force you to see reality for what it is. These are not comfortable lessons. They are not the kind of principles you'll hear in classrooms or sermons. They are dangerous because once you understand them, you'll never see human behavior the same way again. 1. It's better to be feared than loved. Machiavelli was blunt. Love is fragile, but fear is reliable. Love depends on the emotions of others' emotions. They can change with time, temptation, or convenience. Fear, however, is rooted in self-preservation. A man may stop loving you tomorrow, but he will not stop fearing the consequences of crossing you. History confirms this. Rulers who ruled by love were overthrown when affection faded, while those who ruled through fear often held their thrones far longer. 2. Appear virtuous, but act ruthless. Society loves appearances. Machiavelli understood that power often depends not on who you truly are, but on who others believe you to be. The wise man projects fairness, generosity, and virtue when the crowd is watching, but behind closed doors, he does what is necessary to maintain his advantage. Why? Because raw ruthlessness without a mask breeds rebellion. But ruthlessness wrapped in the cloak of virtue earns loyalty and admiration, even as it quietly consolidates power. 3. Loyalty is fragile, but fear endures. Machiavelli observed that men are loyal only as long as it serves them. Promises of loyalty evaporate under pressure. Allies shift sides when the tide turns. But fear of punishment, fear of consequence, creates a chain far stronger than the frailty of oaths. This is why smart leaders never rely solely on trust. They design systems where betrayal carries a cost too heavy to bear. 4. Mercy is weakness when it costs power. Mercy feels noble, but in the wrong hands, it becomes a weapon against you. Spare an enemy who would destroy you, and you invite future rebellion. Forgive betrayal without consequence, and you invite more betrayal. Machiavelli warned that unnecessary mercy does not make you good, it makes you vulnerable. A ruler, or a man in any position of power, must understand when mercy strengthens his position and when it fatally undermines it. These principles sound brutal, even monstrous, to ears trained by modern ideals of fairness and kindness. And that is precisely why they remain hidden. Polite society cannot admit that these laws still govern the world, because if men embraced them, the delicate balance of control would collapse. Yet the evidence is everywhere. Look around. The leaders who endure, the men who rise, the ones who command respect, they are not loved more, they are feared more. They are not the fairest, but the most strategic. They know exactly when to mask virtue, when to unleash ruthlessness, and when to strike without hesitation. And here's the chilling part. These truths are not just relics of history. They are alive today, operating with terrifying clarity in the modern world you live in. You're punished for playing by the rules, but rewarded when you break them with precision. That's the cruel paradox of the modern world, and the trap most men never see until it's too late. From childhood, society drills into men the same tired script. Give endlessly, wait patiently, forgive quickly. Be the nice guy at work, the reliable provider in relationships, the dependable friend who never says no. And for a while, it seems noble. But here's the truth. The world does not reward your selflessness. It exploits it. Look at careers. The man who stays loyal to his company, who works extra hours without demanding recognition, doesn't get promoted, he gets overlooked. The man who negotiates ruthlessly, who knows his worth and isn't afraid to demand it, is the one who rises. Fairness says, do your best and you'll be rewarded. Reality says, leverage or be leveraged. Look at dating. The man who bends over backwards to please, who waits endlessly for approval, is ignored. Meanwhile, the man who shows boundaries, who isn't afraid to walk away, commands respect and desire. Fairness tells men to keep giving until they're noticed. Reality shows that women respect strength and decisiveness, not weakness disguised as kindness. Even in friendships, a pattern repeats. Be too generous, too available, too forgiving, and you'll attract users who drain you. Show strength, set lines that cannot be crossed, and suddenly, people treat you with the respect you should have demanded from the beginning. This is the modern trap, believing that fairness is a virtue in a world that only respects strength. You're told to play nice while everyone else plays to win. And while you're following rules that don't exist, ruthless men are building empires on the backs of your obedience. Most men fall into this trap unknowingly, thinking that fairness will eventually pay off. But it never does. And the deeper you stay in it, the harder it becomes to climb out. The question is, why do so many men fail to see it until it's already destroyed them? Most men don't fail because they're stupid. They fail because they were taught to believe in illusions. They trust blindly. They forgive endlessly. They sacrifice without ever demanding a return. And in doing so, they write the script of their own downfall. Picture the man who gives everything to his job, arrives early, stays late, never complains. He assumes his loyalty will be rewarded. But when layoffs come, his dedication counts for nothing. He's replaced by someone younger, cheaper, or more politically connected. His fairness didn't save him, it destroyed him. Picture the man who pours his heart into a woman, giving her endless attention, constant reassurance, and unconditional forgiveness. He believes love will be enough to secure loyalty. But she grows cold, restless, and leaves for a man who doesn't treat her as an option, but as someone who must qualify for his presence. His endless patience didn't earn her. It bored her. Picture the man who bends for his friends, always available, always paying, always sacrificing. He believes generosity will bind them closer. But they begin to see him as a resource, not a peer. The respect drains away. His giving nature wasn't noble. It marked him as prey. The outcome is always the same: disappointment, betrayal, humiliation. And still, most men keep repeating the cycle, thinking next time will be different. But it never is, because the world does not respect endless fairness. It respects power, boundaries, and the willingness to enforce them. This is why most men fail. They lack the courage to be ruthless when ruthlessness is required. They confuse weakness for kindness, and in doing so, they become invisible, disposable, forgettable. But what if you could break free from this cycle? What if you could play the game on your own terms, without becoming a monster? If weakness guarantees failure, then the antidote is not cruelty for its own sake, it is controlled ruthlessness. Machiavelli never encouraged pointless brutality. He encouraged clarity, strategy, and the courage to act when action was required. Ruthlessness, in its truest form, is not savagery. It is survival. It is the refusal to let others exploit your fairness, your kindness, or your trust. So how does a man walk this path? By embracing principles that separate the strong from the forgotten. 1. Appear fair, but never expect fairness. Machiavelli advised rulers to look virtuous, even when acting otherwise. The same holds true today. Let others see patience, generosity, and fairness, but never depend on it being returned. Expect betrayal, prepare for selfishness, and you will never be blindsided. Appearances keep people at ease. Reality keeps you in control. 2. Set unbreakable boundaries. Powerless men are men without lines that cannot be crossed. If you want respect, you must define what you will not tolerate and enforce it without hesitation. Whether it's in relationships, business, or friendships, boundaries act as the invisible fence that separates you from exploitation. 3. Don't fight every battle. Choose those that secure leverage. Fools waste energy on every slight, every insult, every minor defeat. The ruthless man knows that energy is finite, and battles are chosen with precision. You do not need to win every fight. You need to win the ones that decide the war. Patience in small matters buys power in greater ones. 4. Master silence, patience, and unpredictability. Nothing unnerves an opponent more than a man they cannot read. Machiavelli valued unpredictability because it keeps enemies cautious and allies respectful. Speak less, listen more, and move only when the advantage is yours. The man who cannot be predicted cannot be controlled. 5. Be ruthless when betrayal is certain. Here lies the hardest lesson. When betrayal reveals itself, you cannot afford mercy. If someone has shown they will undermine you, no second chance will save you. It will only invite another betrayal. This does not mean cruelty. It means decisive action. Cut ties, remove threats, and make the cost of betrayal unforgettable. Taken together, these principles form the ruthless path to power. Not a path of sadism, but of survival. Not a path of cruelty, but of self-respect. The man who embraces this mindset doesn't go looking for enemies, but when enemies appear, he does not flinch. And here's the truth most men will never face. This path is open to anyone, but almost no one will walk it. They will cling to fairness, to weakness, to illusions, because it feels safer. But safety has a cost: obscurity, exploitation, and defeat. The challenge is simple, but terrifying. Will you keep playing fair, or will you dare to claim the ruthless power that others fear? Fairness is a trap. It is the leash that keeps men obedient, predictable, and powerless. The world tells you to be good, to be patient, to play by the rules. But the truth is brutal. Those rules were never designed to help you win. They were designed to keep you in line. While ruthless men took everything, Machiavelli's darkest lessons are not comfortable, but they are necessary. He showed us that power is not built on fairness, but on strategy. That mercy without strength is weakness. That love fades, but fear endures. And that appearing virtuous while acting with ruthless precision is the key to survival in a world that rewards cunning over kindness. Most men will hear this message and reject it. They'll keep clinging to fairness, keep forgiving betrayal, keep hoping their sacrifices will be rewarded. And that's why they'll stay powerless. The question is, will you? Will you keep being prey, or will you dare to be dangerous? Will you keep trusting in illusions, or will you claim the clarity that the powerful have guarded for centuries? The choice is yours. But understand this: once you've seen the truth, you can't unsee it. You can't go back to playing fair without knowing the cost. If you're ready to break the leash and walk the ruthless path, then stay here. Subscribe, because what comes next is knowledge most men will never have the courage to face.